got a 95 T100 here. It's losing coolant. When he tries to start it after it's cold, it gives him almost like a backlash. The cylinder is probably getting water in it. So we've either got a blown head gasket or a blown intake gasket. So we're going to get this thing apart, get this plenum and all these vacuum hoses and all that off of it, and we're going to see what we find. We'll probably do this video in 3, maybe 4 parts. The first part will be tear down, and then maybe taking the motor out, and then after we take it out, we'll put the engine on a stand. We haven't really decided about pulling the motor, but we think we're going to pull it after we pull the heads. That'll probably be the second part, and then the third part will be reassembling most of the top end and the alternator, power steering pump, AC compressor, and possibly startup. Just depends on how long the video goes, and we might have to make a part 4. So right here we're taking the throttle cable off. Disconnecting vacuum hoses and some of the sensors there on top. I didn't want to bore y'all with this until we get at least to the plenum off. Taking the air filter box off. There goes the upper plenum. There's the lower plenum. Alright, we got it taken apart, and we're going to pressure test it. So I connected these 2 hoses together that go to your throttle body as coolant flows through them too. One hooks to one side of the throttle body and the other one hooks to the other side, and it flows through the throttle body, so you'll have to connect them together. And we're hoping when we put radiator pressure test on this and pump the pressure up, and we can look down in these intake ports and see if the coolant is leaking at the intake gasket. Guys, I'll leave links to these parts and tools in the description, so if you need them, you'll have them. Alright, we pressure tested and got the pressure up. And cylinder number 5, I'm going to try to show you guys right here. If you look right down in there, when that focuses, you can see the coolant down in that cylinder. So what I did, if you look right there, you can see the intake line where the intake gaskets go. Just right there. You see that line? That's cylinder number 5. What I did is I turned the engine over and closed the valves on cylinder number 5. And what that would do is, if it was the intake gaskets, the coolant would start to build up in here, because the intake gaskets are before the valves. So it's not leaking in here with the valves closed. Alright, so it looks like it's going to be a head gasket, possibly a cracked head. So we're going to have to tear on down into this motor and see what we can find. Go ahead and get these covers off of it. Disconnect cam sensor connector. Disconnect spark plug loom clip. Disconnecting your other spark plug looms. They just have a little clip up underneath the timing chain cover. Then just lay them to the side out of the way. Removing upper timing cover bolts. Remove upper timing cover. This is your cam sensor on the inside of the upper timing chain cover that we're getting out. Be careful when you pull the cover off. You'll break that clip off. Removing ignition core bolts. Loosening power steering pump belt tensioner bolt. Removing power steering pump belt. In order to remove it, take it around the fan. Removing the tensioner bolt for the alternator. Loosening the tension on the alternator belt. We took the power steering pump belt off right here. The tensioners between the crank and the AC compressor. Right here we're taking the belt off for the alternator.
These right?
Removing the clutch fan nuts with a 10mm wrench. Remove the fan clutch. Remove the fan shroud bolt. There are 4 of them, 2 on each side, one at the top and one at the bottom. Remove the fan shroud. Now we put a new timing belt on it back in 2022. That belt's only got like maybe 10,000 miles on it. I don't think we're going to replace it again, even though I don't like that idea, but I think we'll put the old belt back on it since it's only got 10,000 miles on it. Removing the power steering pump bolts. Lay the power steering pump to the side. Remove power steering pump bracket bolts. Lower alternator nut. Remove the upper bolt for the alternator. I don't know if you guys noticed, but that's not a Toyota alternator. That's a modification I done to this truck many years ago. It stock alternator's like 68 amps. And this is off of like a 94 Cadillac DeVille 140 amp alternator. And I modified it and mounted this alternator to it. Well, you can tell that it ain't supposed to go in there. Removing fan clutch bearing bracket bolts. Remove fan clutch bearing bracket. Removing the harmonic balancer bolt, 19mm socket. And removing the harmonic balancer. That don't always come off that easy. Sometimes you need a puller. Removing the lower timing cover bolt. about the heater, but you're gonna have to, once you get those, your AC unit and your power steering pump, you'll have to finagle them to the side to where you can get this idler pulley bracket off. There's a bolt right there, and then one down low, down there, and then one right here in the front, top. Remove AC compressor bracket bolts. Compressor bracket. This is your hydraulic tensioner right here. You're going to take it off to get the slack in your timing belt. We've already got this at top dead center, and if you look at your cams up high, we've already got our marks lined up before you take this tensioner off. It's going to matter when you're pulling the heads off, but if you were doing a timing belt, it would make a difference. Make it easier to get it timed. Removing the timing belt. Removing the cam pulley bolts. Alright, so this cam bolt for the gear, it come right out. This one, on the other hand, gave us a fit. We tried and tried with an impact to get it out. Ended up having to heat that bolt twice. And it finally broke free, heating it up. But we're going to finish tearing the rest of it down. Remove your cam pulleys. Removing the timing belt idler. Take cam sensor off. You can just leave it hang there. Removing the timing belt shield bolts. That one broke. Remove the shield. Be careful because your cam sensor is attached. Removing the fuel injector connectors. Disconnect crankshaft position sensor. And right here I'm removing removing this nut, there's a bracket attached to that water outlet. I just took the bracket off and then put the nut back in. Disconnecting oil pressure sensor connector. And removing the valve cover bolts. Just pry up on the valve cover a little bit in the corner. Sludge. That's a blowed head gasket, my friend. And removing the passenger side valve cover bolts. Cover. See that sludge right there in the corner? That's a good indication. We got a blowed head gasket, maybe even a cracked head. Hopefully we'll get by with the head gasket. Removing the 4 fuel rail bolts. Screwdriver to pry up on the fuel rail to get it off the fuel injectors. Remove the fuel rails and get them out of your way. Alright, next thing we did was take these intake bolts out. 3, 4, 5, looks like 6 down each side. And we pulled this wiring harness around over here out of our way. And then we're going to lift this intake off. It's nasty. Taking our cam caps off. We already took this one off. We'll make sure you keep these caps in the same exact spot. They're numbered. I1 in back, I2, I3, I4, I5. And there's an arrow pointing back that way. Exhaust is the same way. It'll be E1, E2, E3, and E4. And the other side's the same way. But you want to put these on the exact way you took them off and in the same place. Alright, we got this left cylinder head off. And we had a little trouble with it. We couldn't get it to come off. But there is a hidden bolt on the back that is a 8mm hex socket, to where the other 8 bolts were a 12.12mm. But it had one back there, we couldn't see it. It was covered up with gooey carbon oil. And once we got that bolt out, this head come right off. That's why we didn't get video footage. We were struggling there. But we're going to take the other head off. toughen you up, boy, make you be a man. Slipping that hand, hitting that finger on that metal, that cold metal. Oh, I know. You need to have both hands on that ratchet, son. Yeah, anytime you're using like that, you need to brace the end of the ratchet while you're pulling it. Otherwise, you're just gonna angle it and round the head of the boat off, and that's all we need. I can get it. I got it. When you remove these caps, make sure you, like I said, keep them in the same order, in the same place that they were. Right here's what we're doing. That's the front exhaust cap, next one back, next one back. Our tappet's the same thing. That's exactly how they go back in the head. And we did the same thing with the intake side. And that is the passenger side head. We're going to put the driver side head in this box in the same order. When you take that seal out, be careful and don't burr that aluminum. So that hidden bolt on the driver's side, the hidden bolt is on the front. It uses that 8mm hex, to where the other bolts are there, and then two more back there. Those are 12mm 12-point socket bolts. But on the driver's side, bolt is in the front. On the passenger side, the hidden bolt is in the back. So you'll have to take those out before you can remove the head. Removing the head bolts. Don't forget your washer. Alright, I want to show you guys these head gaskets. This is the driver side. And if you look at this seam around the cylinder, there's nothing wrong with that one. There's nothing wrong with that one. What you do see is probably dirt or carbon. And then there's nothing wrong with this one. It's pretty well good. But then on the other side, if you look at, this is the other side, the passenger side. This cylinder is okay. It's just dirt. Okay. And then this one is okay. And then the very cylinder that we were getting water in, it looks all good until you get right there. See that split? That's our blowed head gasket. Right there near your water seal. That water was coming through the gasket and going into the cylinder right here. But we're still going to take the cylinder heads to a machine shop and let them do a valve job and put new valve seals in it, clean the head surface up on both the heads, and get them checked for cracks just in case, and then we will get them back. Here's our motor with no heads on it. Looks like a big old mess. Alright guys, I'm going to end that video right there. That'll be the video of us taking this thing apart. And if y'all are wanting to see us put it back together, there'll be a part 2 to it. So make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment, and we'll see you on the next video.